Good morning to everybody. I'll say, first thing I should note is, I think the reason why this conference is on a national holiday, which is actually a municipal election day for those of you visiting from abroad, I think it's to give you a sense of what traffic in the future may be like. Because normally the roads are clogged up and it takes ages to get in, and today it was, for anybody coming outside of town, I think it was a breeze for you. I'm going to say a little bit about myself, and then I need to say something about Philip before we start the discussion, and then we'll kind of kick off. So I'm glad the slide got up. Maniv, I'm a partner at Maniv. Maniv is a venture capital fund investing seed stage in mobility startups here in Israel around the world, and we work very closely with these startups to connect them to the global ecosystem as transportation is being digitized globally. The thing I need to say about Philip at the start is he's not from Porsche AG, which is the luxury car maker. He's from actually Porsche SE, which is a holding company which has got a large ownership stake in the entire VW group. So if anything, he's got an even broader overview of the VW group and is very thoughtful in kind of seeing that. So the way we structured this panel, which we kind of titled "The Diablo is in the details, the devil's in the details," from the perspective of a small car maker like Lamborghini, which has pretty small scale. But for those of you who don't know, it's actually part of a much, much larger group, which is the VW group, which is the largest, or if not, one of the 3 largest car makers in the world. And then kind of refracting kind of how Massimo's thinking about these changes in the industry across the broader lens of the VW group, which Philip can reflect on. Massimo, to start with, curious to know how expectations of customers are maybe shifting, especially maybe around connectivity technologies. We're seeing a lot of this emerging in Israel. I'm assuming your consumers are changing their expectations around connectivity, and maybe that's more important than it's been in the past for you.
Yeah, well, I've been spending these 2 days here. It has been really interesting. We have been talking a lot about connectivity, and even yesterday there were some experts saying that in 20 years from now, the second most important digital device in our life after our mobile phone is going to be our car. And this is true. This is true also for Lamborghini. In different respects, however, we cannot think about Lamborghini as a very, very small car manufacturer. Probably I'm representing the smallest here. Philip is representing the biggest. Yesterday we were having some jokes. Lamborghini was born in 1963, and since then has produced the number of cars that Volkswagen is producing today in a single day. So you can imagine the difference in scale. So I was saying, thinking about Lamborghini as a little exotic automotive brand for crazy Italians driving fast in the Italian countryside is fundamentally wrong. So connectivity is going to change dramatically even our business case. However, in different respect. If we think about a couple of decades ago, driving a Lamborghini or driving a supercar, a super sports car, wherever in the world, was very much about driving fast, making noise, enjoying a good experience, exotic design, was really very much about that. Today, things are really changing, not in the future, it's really even today. I'm going to make you a couple of examples. Today, we drive from Monday to Friday, we may drive, well, you need to consider first that, none of our customers has only one car in their garage, in case they have one Lamborghini. So they drive from Monday to Friday another premium sedan, they may drive whatever product concept they choose for their rational needs. They bring kids to the school, they commute, they go to the office, they do whatever they need. It's very much a rational business case. Whatever they enjoy during the week is what they do expect driving something much more expensive on the weekends. Of course, they are not going to expecting anything more comfortable, because by definition a super sports car cannot be as comfortable as whatever they drive during the week. But they do expect everything which can make their life easier, exactly as whatever they drive from Monday to Friday is going to allow them to do. So that's why connectivity is entering also in our small segment very, very strongly, very quickly. Also consider this, that our Our business model is very much product-driven, not demand-driven. There is no rational need to buy a Lamborghini. Nobody's going to bring kids to the school, as I said before, with a Lamborghini. Maybe somebody can, but probably there are better cars to fulfill these expectations. Our business model is very much emotional-driven. And is very much about a statement, a self-recognition. I'm a successful guy, I'm going to buy a Ferrari, McLaren, a Lamborghini, whatever, and I'm going to keep it in my garage. In this respect, you need to consider that even today, there are, as far as I remember, 28 cities in the world with more than 10 million people. Okay? In 2050, 2 out of 3 human beings will live in a mega city. And those are where our customers will be living. The so-called high net worth individual are going to live in those cities with enormous constraints in terms of sustainability, mobility, whatever. So we must match those expectations. So things are changing in our industry very much, very quickly. Recently we launched, I don't know if you've seen, the first super sport utility vehicle, the Urus. We were pretty much impressed because it's the first Lamborghini with a full package of connected services. Other will come. And we were really very much impressed because the take rate of that option has been close to 100%.
And you're leveraging VW's resources to some extent to offer that kind of connectivity?
Yeah, well, we are lucky for that.
Yeah,
we are very small as a car manufacturer, so we cannot afford that level of investment. And this is a key competitive advantage we have against our key competitors. We have access to the biggest shelf of technology in the world.
So Philip, maybe that's a good opportunity to talk about how maybe VW is thinking about connectivity. Maybe something interesting in this context to note is that Renault, Nissan, Mitsubishi just signed an agreement with Android for Automotive, Google's offering in the space, which was kind of made waves in the industry because there's kind of been this dike that's been put up, this wall against Google kind of getting into the car, and now that's shifting a bit. How do you see what car makers, even really large ones like VW, can offer versus digital players with that kind of scale and skill set?
Thank you, Olaf. And yes, car makers have been very slow to adapt to connectivity as far as our experiences are probably concerned. Now, most of you sitting here in this auditorium will know that it takes many, many years to develop a car and get it approved, certified. So it's a long process. But at last, the industry has woken up. And whilst there are very few genuinely connected vehicles out on the road today, this is going to change. And the VW Group is going to put 5 million connected, by factory connected vehicles out on the street every year from 2020 onwards. So this is ramping up very quickly now. We see a lot of momentum. And this is going to be also very important, not only for the infotainment side of things that we just talked about, but of course also for the highly automated driving related aspects. When it comes to infotainment, there are different approaches, and we've seen historically that most OEMs, including the VW Group, have looked at their own solutions because people are generally concerned about losing their customers. What is the customer? But I think the answer is a little bit more subtle than this, because when you look at what is happening today even in the smartphone and public computer arena, you see hybrid models. You don't see wholly captive environments. There's a lot of people who use Outlook.com app on their iPhone. Microsoft has opened up their system and has dozens of apps that are available on Apple devices. So, and this is also what we now see with Renault Nissan. They've opened up and given customers what they're used to. People want seamless experiences, in my perspective. They want to continue using services they already use and they're familiar with and how to use them. Now, in this respect, when it comes to a car environment, and if you are still driving, voice commands will become very important. And that's why you also see Audi has now adopted in their new e-tron Alexa as a built-in service. So when you buy a new Audi e-tron, you can get Alexa and continue getting those services apart from the captive services that the car manufacturer has. And maybe as a last point on this, Olaf, it is this differentiation between the platform, the operating system, and the services. We really care about, we as customers care about the services that we get and the seamless service provision. The operating system behind that is really a problem for us and the car manufacturers, but not for the customer.
Yeah, so maybe the e-tron's an interesting kind of jumping off point for the next topic. Christian von Koenigsegg recently said that the new Tesla Roadster's acceleration and performance is quote-unquote embarrassing them, and that they have to work pretty hard to offer an even better sports car in order to compete. And I think part of the challenge of that is coming from the fact that electric powertrains are very efficient, very zippy, give great performance for sports cars. Are we going to be seeing electric Lamborghinis? I know there was the Millennial concept that was recently kind of announced.
Yeah.
You can plead the fifth if you need to.
I believe Mr. Koenigsegg is right. If Tesla will be able to achieve those level of performance, it's going to become definitely a game changer, for sure. It's going to become a serious competitor in our small market niche. We are talking about less than 2 seconds, 0 to 100, more than 400 kilometers an hour. We are talking about very serious performances. However, Lamborghini is not only about performance. Lamborghini is about fun to drive, right? And fun to drive is different from performance. You can give 1,000 of horsepower to a car and you can drive as much as you can. Then, the limit is just safety and aerodynamics, but actually you can do, I'm not saying that, Tesla is on the wrong way. However, I'm saying that fun to drive is more than horsepower. Fun to drive is about power to weight. So it's not only about power, it's about weight. The magic number is generally in our industry 2. To be a super sports car, to be close to an hypercar, you need to reach a power-to-weight ratio less than 2 kilos per horsepower. Fun to drive is about weight distribution. Fun to drive is very much about vehicle dynamics, very much about controls. It's very much about HMI. Whatever helps you not to take your hands off the steering wheels is gonna really definitely gonna help. And fun to drive is also, a blend of feelings you get when you drive fast. Also, the engine sound is part of this, okay? One of the key, when we ask our customers, what you like the most about your Lamborghini, one of the top 5 answers is always engine sound. So, I don't know how Tesla can do, but, maybe they can replicate some sound which is as good as an internal combustion engine. So, what about electrification? We think that it's not a question if, but it's a question of when it's going to come. For sure, we are going to, for the number of reasons I mentioned even before, and these are really very much about our customer profiling, which is going to become more urban, more social, much more connected, and is going to live in major city. Electrification is a must. However, electrification doesn't mean electric. Electrification is a first step to have some kind of electrification traction on the car. And this is going to happen very soon, also for Lamborghini. I'm not saying in the next 12, 18 months, but it's going to happen. Electrification is going to start. It's going to be a sporty electrification. So none of our customers are expected to drive 100 kilometers on full electric, but it's going to expect to drive 10, 20 kilometers, whatever they need to go to a racetrack, to enjoy a club event, to go on Saturday evening with their wife, whoever, in front of a theater. So it's sporty. Whatever we do in terms of electrification is going to increase sportiness, it's going to increase fun to drive. The matter of fact today is that with the status of technology as it is today, and I'm still thinking mainly about the weight of the batteries, we believe that today a full electric Lamborghini cannot deliver exactly what our customers are expecting in terms of DNA, in terms of fun to drive. So it's going to happen. The question is when. Lamborghini are going to be electrified very shortly. This level of electrification is going to increase over time. Let me say, within 10 years, we can think about driving a full electric hypercars. It's not going to be a breakthrough. It's going to be progressive starting from tomorrow. But electrification is going to be part of our strategy, for sure.
So, Philip, again, from the perspective of the VW Group, there's been a huge wave of announcements. I mean, you mentioned the e-tron is the first of those, but there are many more coming. VW has many, many different brands and different vehicles, and it seems like there's a focus on, shifting huge battery manufacturing capacity and then also shifting the powertrain to electrification. How core is that kind of going forward?
Yes. The VW Group is very committed to electrification as part of a sustainability approach, and also providing superior experiences which electric vehicles can provide in the day-to-day, as well as actually in the sports car side. Of course, there is the challenge that Massimo referred to with battery weight, and this is going to improve as the density is improving. And for the volume pieces of the market, also the price per kilowatt hour that is going to come down very quickly to make battery technology more broadly applicable in the car context. So the VW Group, for instance, produces more than 10 million cars a year. They've committed by 2025 to put 2 to 3 million fully electric or plug-in hybrids on the road in that time frame. So this is a massive transformation that is happening given the lead times vehicle manufacturers have in production.
And if you would say there's one factor that's driving that, is it Tesla, is it regulation, is it kind of in the wake of Dieselgate and kind of moving past that? What do you think the kind of key?
It is a mix of factors. I do believe that Tesla has been very important to the automotive industries in terms of really looking at the car in a different way, looking at energy in a different way, and sustainability and experience. So Tesla has been very important to kick things off. Yeah. The diesel issue for the Volkswagen Group has, of course, also been a major game changer in adopting electrification much faster than we've seen in the past. And so I expect most of you wanting to drive one of those vehicles from the VW Group very soon. We have the Audi e-tron having been launched, and next year, towards the end of next year, you see Porsche with the Taycan, and you will see Volkswagen with the ID Cross. So all the brands, major brands in the group, are coming with electric vehicles.
Great. Our time is basically up, but Massimo, I want to ask you one question, just very, very short answer. We're seeing shifts in ownership models. Ole from Moya just talked about how the group itself is shifting, but specifically for Lamborghini, can we expect kind of an access model coming down the line in the future? Or is a Lamborghini something that always needs to be owned and always will be owned?
Yeah, difficult to answer. Yeah.
So fortunately, you don't have much time to answer.
I tell you, I'm looking now at the picture here, the Diablo. It was designed before I was born, and it's still a very beautiful car. I would be happy to keep it in my garage for as long as I can. Now, as I said, our business model is, I don't want to say is irrational, but is very much emotional. We live every day. We are a very small company, placed in the nice countryside in the north of Italy. And we see everyday customer coming to us because they want to choose the color, they want to choose the materials, they choose the leather, they want to have their own personal Lamborghini. It's a little bit the same purchasing behavior you have when you buy a watch, when you buy some nice furniture, when you buy a yacht. So there is a value associated with the ownership of the product. Despite I'm going to drive it only, maybe a few times, even if, our customer, the average today is more than 5,000 kilometers per year, so we see customers driving more and more. However, because of these emotional components in the purchasing behavior, in terms of, personal recognition, self-awarding, customers say, I have a Ferrari, I have a Lamborghini, I have a McLaren, whatever I have in my garage, because it's a little bit of a statement. I want to show it to my friends. We honestly believe that sharing or pooling a Lamborghini, let me say this way, is not going to happen in a very short period of time.
Amazing. Philip, just finally, we can't really not talk about the fact that Mobileye and VW just announced that they're launching a mobility service that will begin testing in Israel and launching in 2022. Do you have anything very, very briefly to say about that?
Yeah. In terms of sharing, again, the VW Group has a number of initiatives. We heard Ole Harms earlier. The Volkswagen brand launched a car sharing scheme. So lots of activities going on in the group. And very important, since we're here in Tel Aviv, yesterday, in this very location, an agreement was signed between Mobileye, Volkswagen, and Champion Motors, which is the key importer for the VW Group here in Israel, to launch mobility as a service offering based on autonomous vehicles. And the first vehicles will be on the road as of next year, and commercial service is envisaged by 2022. So we are all very excited and thankful and grateful to the Israeli government also to support those efforts, which are also, it's a great test bed here in Israel. So thank you very much.
And like the Prime Minister said last night at the gala dinner, you know, I think Israel is becoming a center for automotive innovation, and big players like VW making investments is great for this ecosystem, and we hope to see many more companies kind of making deep commitments into Israel and this ecosystem developing and growing. So with that, thank you very much to Massimo and Philip, and thank you to the audience.
Thank you.